The Republicans now control the federal government. They control some 25 to 30 state governments. The Democrats, far fewer. And so they've been sitting on an agenda, and actually I think most of them didn't think Trump would win the presidency. And when he did, so for them it's a opportunity to pass what's been on their agenda, which is deregulate stuff, tax cuts, change the Affordable Care Act. So they want that to happen, but all these things that happen with Trump, national security, Flynn, the Russians, that's all a distraction for them. And they're under sort of dual pressure. They want to get their agenda through, and they have to have the president with them to get that through, but they're under pressure on the other hand to, well, what are we going to do about the Russia connection, et cetera. At what point do the Republicans in Congress make a break? And on what do they make the break? And I think that's not likely to happen in the short run because they need the president to get the tax cuts that they want through, especially corporate tax cuts. They want that, capital gains, they want that reduced. So I think they're waiting to get that through, and then we'll see. The courts are still a relevant actor, but the most relevant actor is the Congress, and the Democrats in Congress are already pretty clear where they are. So the question is, over time, what's the likelihood that the Republican Party in the Congress is willing to steps up, not willing to, but steps up and says no more of this and not this. They want the tax code changed. They want regulation to go down. They now own the Affordable Care Act, which I think is going to be harder for them to solve than they might have thought it was, because I don't think they can afford to have very many people go uncovered, because then the press and the Democrats will beat them, and it's not a good issue going into the midterm and the 2020 election. If I were the Democrats, I would say, the identity politics is okay, but you've carried it too far. In the process of the identity politics, you forgot about all those people in the Midwest who have lost jobs and so on and so forth. You can't forget those people. And I think that's even more important because when you talk about jobs leaving, what this artificial intelligence is going to, seems to me, over the next 10, 15 years, it's going to create a problem. Why? Well, I mean, you think of the gig economy, Uber, Lyft, Mercedes-Benz, Ford, GM, they're all trying to get cars and trucks that drive themselves. Well, guess who drives those? And if you're a truck driver in America, you can make a pretty good income. You can make $70,000, $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 a year doing that. Well, those jobs are gone. That's even more of a problem for those areas that you didn't win the last time. So you got to start thinking about them, and you got to start thinking. I don't think you have to abandon the other, but you have to figure out a way to put the two of them together, and then they'll be all right. But that's not going to be particularly easy. And I don't worry even so much about jobs, actually. What I worry more about is wages, or jobs created. What are they going to pay? My father was able to raise a family, 6 children, with a factory job in the Midwest, and he was able to do that. We weren't rich, but we had a home. We didn't own it, but we had a roof over our heads, and we were fed all the time, and we had clothes, and we went to school. We had all those things, and so I worry about wages because on a lot of these wages, people can no longer afford that. I think their main problem is a demographic problem. So on the social issues that they take these positions on, if you look at the age range, people over 65, they're with the Republicans. then 55 to 65, they're sort of mixed on it. But after that, from 45 to 55, they're against it. By the time you get down to people 25 or more, they are just totally against it. They don't care about issues like gay marriage. They don't care about those sorts of things. They're irrelevant to them. And in some ways, colleague Peter Berkowitz talked about the Republicans have got to forget about trying to repeal the sexual revolution. And they sometimes still talk, that's not going to happen. I assure you, that is not going to happen. Just talk to young people. I don't understand why they get it. Look at their own kids. You can see that that's not working. So they need to figure out how they're going to deal with that long-run demographic problem, and also probably how are they going to handle Hispanic voters. The question you hear out here all the time is, well, can he last 4 years? And the answer is sure he can. But for me, the more important question is, can he be effective? And in my view, hasn't shown that he's can be, because being effective means I want the following policy changes. I want A changed, I want B changed, and I want C changed. You have to bring people together. Some of you have to get through the Congress. Some of them you have to get the bureaucrats to agree to it. Some of you have to get the courts to agree to it. And in all ways, you have to coordinate it and get it through the system. And in most cases, it's Congress and the bureaucracy both have to be with you in the change. So the question is are he and the Republican Party and the Congress capable, are they able to do that? So I'm looking to see how those things balance out, and that means I have to sort of judge the president's behavior, and you have to judge the Congress's behavior. So that's what I'm watching, the interaction between the Congress and the president.